say anything, it's breeder propaganda. And also borderline is adoption appropriation. And Weekly Shonen Jump is also, like, fairly known for, like, its, compet. So to literally have a series be about, like, the traditional heterosexual nuclear family, it's for the straights. No matter how hot Lloyd is, because I will admit Lloyd is hot. Fate Zero. Fate Zero is basically the prequel to Fate Stay Night. It's about Shiro Emiya's father, Kuritsugu. I'm definitely pronouncing that shit wrong. It's about Kuritsugu Emiya, who is Shiro Emiya's father, as he competes in the Grail War that happened before Shiro's Grail War. I enjoy Fate Zero. I very much like Fate Zero. But Fate Zero gives me one of the most terrifying jump scares I have ever experienced in all of anime, honestly, in all of my life, which is the scene, and I want to say one of the first episodes where Castor, aka Gilles de Rai, aka the biggest Joan of Arc stan you'll ever see, like, snatches a child. Like, snatches the child out of nowhere after letting the child go. Take it, I don't want it. It's giving Catholic Church vibes, and that's their religion. Adding on to the Fate train, hate to have more than one on here. Fate Extra Last Encore. I don't fully remember what Last Encore was about, but that's what you call repression. It's about the Moon Grail War, and there's a main character who he has a name, but he's like very flat, and his partner is Nero Claudius. I remember her, because she says huma huma a lot. It's him and Huma Huma, and they're going around doing the Holy Grail War, and it's really trippy, and I believe it's by Shaft, and it, like, gives kind of, like, Madoka vibes, but, like, in a very boring way. It's objectively, in my opinion, the worst Fate series out of all of them. Fate is of the rainbow. Fate gives. We deserve only the best Fate, because Fate is for us. So again, when it comes to straight inclusivity, the straight people deserve Fate Last Encore. Let them have it. It also has a Tosaka, and you know straight people love Tosaka. Also, let me know if y'all would want a Queer Eye for the Fate guide video where I cover all the Fate series and explain it from a rainbow perspective. Cyberpunk Edge Runners is about this cute boy named David, and David is with his mother. He's going to this academy. They're poor, and he's trying to, you know, make his way in the world. He decides to get, like, a chrome spine, and then finds a girl he likes. Like any straight man who tries to get some pussy, he does anything to get that pussy, involving getting involved in criminal affairs. Cyberpunk Edge Runners, I believe, takes place in the world of Cyberpunk 2077 video game, which I'm fairly certain is, like, well known for its queer representation. But in this series, from what I remember, there was not a single rainbow. So clearly the straights wanted to have their own version of Cyberpunk for whatever reason, so I guess we can let them have this one. Sengoku Basara Judge End. Do I really have to give a summary for Sengoku Basara? Have y'all not seen my Sengoku Basara queer coding video? Make sure to watch that. Hopefully part 2 will be coming next year. I mean, not even promise that, actually. I take that back. Sengoku Basara is a very giving series. We're in a giving time of year. Sengoku Basara is the gift that keeps on giving. Except for Judge End. Judge End was just horrible. Like, the main Sengoku Basara series is so shippy and so fun, and all the characters are so hot. And in Judge End, all their character designs were awful. The art design was awful. There was nothing shippy about it. If straight people have to have a Sengoku Basara, let them have Judge End. Because we don't want it. Oh, tangentially, Brave 10. I've seen Brave 10. I have seen Brave 10. I could not tell you specifically what happens in Brave 10, except the main character is basically Noctis from Final Fantasy 15. But it's more Sengoku period. You have Asano de Yukimura. I believe there's a Date Masamune. I don't remember who else is in it. All I remember about Brave 10 is that it took place in the Sengoku period, and it featured all these characters that I knew from Sengoku Basara, but significantly less hot. So again, if we're coming back to, you know, inclusivity for the straights. Otonari ni Ginga. Otonari ni Ginga is a story about this guy who's a mangaka who's taking care of his siblings because their parents died. Sounds familiar. Basically, this girl shows up one day to be his assistant, but then she has like a stinger, and he touches the stinger, and it turns out that she's like an alien or something, and now they're forced to be betrothed. So then the entire point of the story is about them getting unbetrothed and then actually falling in love with each other. So basically the entire story, it starts out compet, but then the plot becomes, okay, now we have to undo the compet just so we can go back and redo the compet. It's atrocious. Blue Lock, aka BL. Blue Lock is about a self-insert character who gets invited to basically the cult of Andrew Tate if it was soccer. And so through this, all these selfish, self-centered men join the Blue Lock program, which is to find a team full of strikers, basically a bunch of people who don't play well with others. And so then all the boys get in skin-tight spandex and get cringy as they play not soccer for a bunch of episodes. You know, in my video where I talked about anime that scares the straights, one thing like I think a lot of us came to a consensus with, sports series are for us. Sports series are for us in the broadest sense I could say. And yet, Blue Lock puts them in spandex, puts them in prison, and takes all their shoes off. There's no socks. There's literally no socks. There's literally no socks. There's no one could be like, oh, it's not gay if you wear socks, because there's not a sock to be found in the entire complex. Still, it tries so hard to be so straight. It's ridiculous. The acronym of the series is literally BL. Like, I have joked about calling this series Yaoi throughout its entire first season run. And you know what? We have Aoashi, which is a series that gives... I need to do a video on Aoashi eventually. Add that to the list of series I need to do a video on, along with Idler 7, among many, many others. Oh, we also have Days. We also have Days. And I was also... No, maybe should I bring that video up? I'll bring that video up for the Patreon. So if we can have Aoashi, let the Str8s have Blue Lock. Let the Str8s have Blue Lock. Let's see one more f***ing puzzle piece. K-On! I've never f***ing seen K-On. It's basically just like lolly given, right? 2 words, lolly Nazis. I don't know why, but who understands why Nazis are the way they are anyway? Mahoka Koko no Yutose, aka The Honor at Magic High School. So this is like the Miyuki spinoff of The Irregular at Magic High School. This basically follows Miyuki and her day-to-day that absolutely no one gives a f*** about. I want to know who asked for this, because I love Irregular. I do enjoy Miyuki in her relations with Tatsuya. Oni-sama! Shout out to the best comment I've ever seen on this network. Again, who asked for Miyuki's side of things? It's so boring. It's so bland. The cast sucks. You know, queerness is kind of an irregularity within, you know, the heteronormative societies and world we live in. Hence why Irregular is for us, Honor is for them. Adachi to Shimamura. Good God, I don't want to even revisit this because... was a mistake. Adachi to Shimamura is about this girl named Adachi and this other girl named Shimamura, and like one of them has a crush on the other, and it's like the most boring GL series I've ever watched, which is saying something because I watched that space one and that was egregiously boring as well. It harmed me. It caused me harm so much that I have literally put off watching any sort of GL in the years since it first came out. And I know there's misconceptions about Yuri and like who it's for and the consumer base, but like this series really and truly has to be like how straight people see and want relationships between women to be. We're both cute and we're looking at each other, and that's about as far as we're gonna go. Because let me tell you, straight people hated citrus, and citrus was a very giving series. You need to have some citrus every now and then. It's good for your health. Out of anything I could ever mention in any of these listicles, I am not giving y'all a summary of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Imagine dedicating your entire life to making sure that one specific anime is ranked #1 on a meaningless anime ranking site. We have had at least 5 different #1 anime on my anime list over the course of the past 2 or 3 years. And that's that I can remember that I was paying attention to. There's definitely been more than that. But as anybody who's on my anime list knows, for some reason, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood stans reside on that site 24/7. They're more present on that site than the customer service on any shopping site you could ever go on. So at this point, like, honestly, I'm less annoyed about these circumstances, and I'm more concerned about their well-being. Like, are they eating? Are they getting enough sunlight? Bleach 1000-Year Blood War. The 1000-Year Blood War is the sequel to the original Bleach. I shouldn't have to explain Bleach to you. When Bleach 1000-Year Blood War was first announced, and then the first anime trailers came out, and all of a sudden, it's cool to like Bleach now? Okay. Everybody was all of a sudden excited about this arc. People have talked about and complained about this arc for years. I actually love it. It's my favorite arc in Bleach, but that's just me. Speaking of what I was talking about with Fullmetal Alchemist at the top of this series, Bleach 1000-Year Blood War was one of the #1 anime of all that we've gotten in the past few years on my anime list. I saw that and I was like, This fall is getting steeper and steeper. But I've started to realize, as I've seen clips and as I've heard from people, that this series has taken the fun out of Bleach. They've taken a lot of the humor out of Bleach. They've taken a lot of the jokes out of Bleach. And my favorite moment in the entire series, especially particularly in this arc, between love of my life Ishin and ever so lovable, ever so popular Toshiro Hitsugaya, the Takai, they took that shit out of the anime. I don't want it. This is a little selfish. This is supposed to be a we versus them. This is coming a little me, but you know what? There is an I in LGBTQIA. Why would you cut the queer joy? The B in LGBT is obviously for Bleach. Gurazeni. Gurazeni is a story about this guy who's a baseball player. It focuses on his pitches based around like how much money he wants to make off of it and how well it succeeds or something. Gurazeni is the worst baseball anime I've ever seen. Actually, it's tied for worst with another series that I'm going to talk about next. But like, imagine a baseball anime not focusing on the characters, not focusing on the team, not focusing, basically not even really focusing on the sport, not focusing on the friendship, and instead focusing on your salary. Only straight people would want that. Adding to the baseball bull Cinderella 9. Cinderella 9 is a story about a bunch of cute girls doing cute things, and somehow baseball is thrown into it, except these are afraid of the ball. Like, baseball is not hard to be for us. Like, baseball anime is about people pitching and catching. Read between the lines. But in order for it to be for us, you have to do the pitching and catching. You can't catch without a pitch. You can't pitch without a catch. If you're afraid of the ball, who's gonna catch it? There's enough baseball anime we can claim as it is. Cinderella 9, let the straight people have it. They love when cute girls do cute things. Kyoko Sweetie, aka Inspector. Inspector is about this guy, and there's this girl. They solve together, and it's incredulously boring. Inspector is on here because it's a series where there's just so much talking where they're really not saying anything at all, and that's basically like every excuse against queerness that straight people use. Dance Dansur is about this boy who decides to become a ballerino for pussy. Point shoes for is what it should have been called. How do you take ballet, which is a form of dance that like a lot of queer men have found solace in, have found success in? How do you take something like that and head it up? How do you head up ballet? Also, guess who animated it? Take a wild guess. Slam Dunk. Slam Dunk is a story about this ginger Yankee who ends up playing basketball. There are times where I have wanted to watch and pick up Slam Dunk, mostly because of the fan art, but at the same time, I'm not stupid, and I know that fan art is fan art, and fan art is not the canon of a story. So it's just a barrier that I cannot cross. Sharing is caring, guys. I guess if we have to share, if we have to split the children in half, we have to split the basketball anime, Ahiro no Sora goes to somebody. The Str8 deserve Slam Dunk, let them have Slam Dunk. I mean, Kuroko no Basket is right there. Kuroko no Basket is literally the rainbow right there. To a degree, I feel like Kuroko no Basket literally exists to bring balance to the force. Higehiro, aka... Higehiro is about this office guy who's actually kind of hot, who ends up finding this high school girl wandering the streets at night because she's homeless. And so he decides to take her in at his place, give her a place to stay while she tries to figure her life out. And it's very clear and obvious as the series goes that they have affection for each other. She, I think, straight up admits to him that she likes him. Only heterosexuals would try to do age gaps with morals. At least media for women and queer people has the to be like, we're gonna tell an age gap story, we're gonna tell a taboo fictional story because it's fun to engage with these things in fiction, regardless of how you feel about them in real life. But only heterosexuals would try to be like, okay, they're gonna eventually get together because they do like each other, but he's gonna wait for her. He's gonna wait for her and be rewarded. Ping Pong the animation. It's a ping pong anime. I've never seen it, but it's hideous. I don't want it. Let them have it. Hitalia. This is where I betray my community. Because honestly, Hitalia is a story about anthropomorphic countries who interact with each other in slice-of-lifey things. If I have to be Judas somewhere in this story, it would be for Hitalia. I don't even necessarily dislike Hitalia, but Hitalia was so hyped up to me for so many years by my audience, by my subscribers, and then when I finally watched it, I was so viscerally disappointed. I don't understand the hype between these characters and these character designs. It's like one of those situations where like, your friend friend is trying to date somebody and your friend is like, hey, can you come like be a wingman, be like, can you double date with me? And their friend is somewhat interested in you, and so like, can you come and like do this for me so I can get ahead with this person? Oh yeah, like this person's so totally your type. And so you begrudgingly are like, okay, fine, you say they're my type, well at least maybe I can have at least an enjoyable time with this individual. And so you go on the double date and you meet the and they're not at all your type. Nothing about them is anything in the appeal that you look for. That's what Hitalia was for me. Hitalia was the double date I was coerced into and lied about. So you know what? I'm giving it away. I'm giving it away! Genjutsu Shugi Yusha no Okoku Saikenki, aka How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom, is about a boy who gets isekai to another world. Redundant, isekai means another world. In the world, he takes like a pragmatic approach to helping a kingdom exist or whatever, and he becomes like the prince or something. This is here because who wants isekai mixed with realism? Queer people's reality is rough. We don't need to engage with that shit at all times. Who wants a realist hero in an isekai series? Only straight people, because their reality benefits them. Tri-Nights! Tri-Nights is a rugby series. That's all I'm gonna leave you with. For those that don't know, Tri-Nights' character designs were drawn by the same mangaka who did 10 Count. So when Tri-Nights was announced, all of us were like, why can't we just get 10 Count? 10 Count had already been announced at that point, but we got Tri-Nights before 10 Count. But Tri-Nights was a disaster. I absolutely hated it. I am not the only one. And you know, when it comes to rugby series, I've talked about before in a previous video about Number 24. I've also talked about All Out. So again, the least we can do is give them Tri-Nights. Six Lovers! Speaking of 10 Count, Six Lovers is a BL compilation of a bunch of series that were released in this one BL magazine. We waited for it for years. We were excited for it. The resulting situation was a disaster. We don't want it. Someone has to have it. Give it to the Str8. End of Evangelion. I don't even know where to go to begin to describe End of Evangelion, and I feel like that was the point. All I can say is, do you see why they had to rebuild it? Evangelion, the main series, was already like, as I've elaborated in my Evangelion video, it was very, it had rainbow themes. Rebuild. But again, there was a reason they had to rebuild it, and that being End of Evangelion, which was egregiously heterosexual in so many ways I can't even begin to describe. All the women who had been growing get absolutely obliterated and desecrated. It was the absolute worst, and heterosexuals love that worst, so let them have End of Evangelion. We build. Rebuild! That Bad Anime opinion site was right when it said that. The entire reason I like Rebuild is because I'm a Mari simp. Divine Gate. I'm not even gonna retread what Divine Gate is about. It's a lesser known series. A lot of people have not seen it. It was a series that I unfortunately completed years ago when I was still in the mindset of like, I'm gonna finish everything no matter what. What a terrible mindset to be. It was a miserable time. I desire entirely for it to be divinely gate-kept by the Str8, just so no queer person has to experience it like I did. We go through enough. We don't need bad anime too. Isekai, oh god. Isekai de cheat skill wo te ni shita ore wa genjitsu sekai wo mo muso suru level up wa jinsei wo kaita. AKA, I got a cheat skill in another world and became unrivaled in the real world too. So it's about this sad sack of everyone treats him awful because he's the main character and they're trying to force you to sympathize with him. He has an ugly face, he's overweight, no one likes him, his family hates him, and so he has this house he inherited from his grandfather, and then in the house he discovers a way to go to another world, and he goes to the other world and becomes slimmed down and sexy, and he has shredded abs now, and he's attractive in the face, and everyone likes him, and he accidentally becomes a supermodel, and he's doing great at school, at his new school, and he has all these friends, all while he's dibbling and dabbling between the two worlds, and it's basically what male would be if it was anthropomorphic. There was potential in this series between Akira and Ryo. Aside from like Blue Lock and like Gohan's role in the original Dragon Ball Z, I have never seen such an offensively, egregiously obnoxious self-insert character, I think, in my entire life. There was potential there between the male characters, but it also is egregiously heterosexual and just so obnoxious. For like straight power fantasies. It was for the Str8s, it did its job, they deserve it. Okami Kodomo no Ame no Yuki, aka Wolf Children. Wolf Children is about this girl who meets this guy who's like a werewolf or something, and they and they have a family with little wolf children, and then the father dies, and then the poor mother has to move out to the boonies and raise her half wolf children, and she has no clue how to navigate this. And Wolf Children was a movie that I really wanted to like. It was a movie that was always showing up on like best anime movies, and then I watched it, and by the end of it I was like, this is spoilers, obviously. And then in the end, her daughter is like, you know what, I can live between the two worlds. Like, I can still, like, be a human, whereas the son is like, I have to be a wolf. And that feels like Sigma male messaging. The daughter could learn to exist and continue to live with the mother, but the mother has to give away her son in the end because, like, a mother can't raise a son. A son needs a man in the house to like, let him be a man or some bullshit. Discrediting all the single mothers everywhere who are doing their best to raise their children, particularly their sons. It's an egregiously heteronormative, heterosexual, toxic masculine message in the end. The Wolf Children. MF Ghost, aka Muff Ghost. Muff Ghost is basically the sequel to Initial D. It's a racing anime about a guy named Kanata. Now, MF Ghost, I talked about in my last video. I'm not really shipping anything in MF Ghost at this point in time. And the entire reason I decided to watch Initial D is because I was interested enough in MF Ghost, and so far Initial D is delivering where MF Ghost cannot. Is this how y'all feel about Boruto? And honestly, the entire reason I watch either of these things is for the Eurobeat. And yet, Initial D not only has Takumi, and I don't like him, but Itsuki, but also it has Takumi and Iketani Senpai, and Iketani Senpai has his own boyfriend. You have the two guys from the Night Kids, there's a lot of sexual tension there. MF Ghost is none of it! Let the straight people have the sequel. Queer people deserve the prequel. And lastly, and most notably, Rising of the Shield Hero. Shield Hero is about this boy named Naofumi who gets Isekai to another world as the Shield Hero. And so he has this girl named Mine who's from the kingdom who joins his party as he goes and does Isekai hero things. And then she randomly one night accuses him of her. And so because of that, he ends up banished by the kingdom and becomes angsty and edgy and Shield Hero is on here, not just because it's Shield Hero and it's obnoxious, but also because for everything that it does to set up its premise, Shield Hero should be gay as logically, if we're thinking logically, you know dude bros love facts and logic and impact font. The entire setup of Shield Hero should logically push Naofumi into the Rain Bro agenda. Logically, he should hate all women, and in hating all women, he should be pursuing not only his friends and not only his party members, but romantically and he should be pursuing men. That's just math. But instead, he gets a Saber Class Hollow and Lolly Big Bird. How the does that make any sense? If you hate women, per the law of equal exchange harkening back to Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, they should love men. And that's all the anime that straight people truly, truly deserve. And all I'm gonna say before I end this video, because the last time I complained about straight people in a video, I had alleged straight allies in my comments complaining that I should talk about homophobes and be labeling the videos being about homophobes and not about straight people. And all I can tell you as a queer person, and also as a white person, is that if a marginalized group is complaining about an entire identity, that marginalized group exists as a marginalized group because that entire identity has put down and generalized their entire identity. And it does no harm for the marginalized identity to then complain about the oppressive identity at large. If you're a straight person and you're triggered about a queer person complaining about all straight people because not all straight people, you're probably not as much of an ally as you think you are. The same can go for white people who complain about people of color complaining about all white people and saying not all white people. You're probably not as much of an ally as you think you are, and that's where I'm gonna leave that on that. And that's about it in terms of this video. I will see y'all in the next one. I don't know what exactly that one is going to be, but let me know in the comments below, what anime do you think the straight people deserve? What do they truly deserve? It's a giving time of year. We have to be generous.